Hello and welcome to Leeroy Gaming, where today I have another deep dive video for Outriders for you. Today we are focusing on the class node tree for the Devastator class, which is a close range tank, stand your ground class. The way that my videos go is that they are extremely in-depth. If you haven't seen my other deep dives for this game or other games I've covered, I go in an OCD manner over all the nodes, provide you with feedback. So if you're the type of person that likes that in-depth information, this is the video for you. Now, the way that this works is that the class has 3 different trees, potentially, the Vanquisher, Warden, and Seismic Shifter. There are opportunities in the beginning and middle to cross over. So the way we're going to review this is we're going to go over the top tree by itself, or then the middle one, and including mentioning crossovers for the two. And then finally we're going to go down the bottom tree and mention the crossover between the middle and the bottom. Now there's a lot of nodes here. You are only going to get, by the time you max out at level 30, you can have 20 class points to spend on these nodes. So you're going to get nowhere near having all of them. You're going to be able to, for example, get 1 capstone, and in theory you could like go all the way up 1 straight up if you don't take any extras, and down, or dab into one or the other a little bit, but you're going to have to be pretty picky. So keep that in mind as we go over everything. So let's get started. For beginners, let's take a look at its core, what this character is about as far as how it heals and its melee effect, because it can impact other elements of the gameplay and the nodes you choose. So for the melee skill, the Devastator does a certain amount of damage at scales and inflicts bleed to all enemies within a small radius. So a dot effect. Its healing mechanism is you will recover health from slain enemies that stood too close. Now again, this is mentioning every close range kill heals. Now, I'm assuming this is not just with melee. You could also just literally do a close range weapon attack, where you're going to get 24% of your maximum health when you kill somebody, and this can be modified by some nodes, as we'll see. Also, you just receive an additional 15% maximum health right off the bat. All right, there's going to be ways to modify that. And this class at its core has the most base armor, so it's going to increase armor by 30%, and again, we'll be able to modify that as we go along, right? So again, we're going to start with the top skill tree, starting with a point that you don't have a choice about. So the first point is Havoc. Increases your weapon damage by 8%. Nothing too spectacular, but this is going to stack as you see, and this is all weapons. Then you have a choice. You can become a shotgun adept, which is specifically going to give you 12% more damage with shotguns, or increase your armor piercing by 15%. Now basically, if you're fighting heavily armored targets, this is going to be way more versatile. But if you're going to have a bunch of soft targets, don't have much armor, this could potentially be useless or not nearly as useful. So if you're going to go close combat build, you're going to go shotguns, this is the clear choice. You could get this one. Do know, even though you could get both points, it may not be the most efficient. Remember, we only have 20 points to spend. So you may want to rush a capstone, only selectively choosing double dips if they're really, really good. So keep that in mind. Next, again, you don't have a choice here. This brawler increases your close range weapon damage by 50%. And through some deduction, looking at the wording on the trickster class, you can check out my video for that as well. It seems like close range weapon is not only like shotgun shots that you do from close range, or other weapons when you are, or like maybe pistols count for that as well, but also your melee attack should count for this as well. Then you have the option of getting Shotgun Master. Now every single class has at least one of these master options, some two. The thing is, if you're going to go for shotguns and you know you want to specialize, you want to get this. Why? Well, one, it's got a great 15% damage increase, you can't go wrong, and also the likelihood of you getting shotgun increases by 12%. And at high levels, when you're farming for legendaries, the chances of you getting this and not some other weapon that it's useless to your class is useful. Next, going for another option, you can either choose to increase your assault weapons by 12%, And again, you may choose to specialize in shotgun and say, you know what, I'm not going to do assaults at all, weapons at all, or you're going to both. Well, that'll dictate whether you pick this up, or you can increase your armor piercing even more by an additional 15%. So you could have up to 30% so far. Next, again, no choice here, but you can get an extra 8% weapon damage. Next, an option champion using protection skills increases weapon damage by 45% in seconds. Now, each class has 3 different types of skills. In this case, you have protection. You'll see some of the other ones as we go on here. Seismic, and what is the third one? Normally, for most cases, except for trickster, it's been that each skill tree specializes in one. But here we're seeing, trying to look at an advanced because I forgot the other one. But we got protection and seismic. Maybe there's only 2 for this one? Wow. Okay. Oh, and kinetic. My apologies. So those are the 3. So this one again is going to be with protection skills. That's a significant weapon damage if you go for that. So unless you're going to be, for some reason, not using protection skills at all, considering this is on your way down this line, this is a no-brainer. Okay, next, you have a choice between Bullseye, which increases your critical damage by 20%. And again, I'm not sure in this game if a critical hit is just like a headshot, or if it's like more RPG-like, where it's like a percentage-based stat point yet. But depending on how easy it is to get crit shots, this could be very, very good. And increase weapon recall by 30%. Again, obviously some guns in this game have very little recall, others have quite a bit more recall, so more often than not, if you're decent at aiming or you're using low recall guns, this 9 out of 10 times will be better, but situationally maybe the recall is going to be better. Havoc, again, another 8% damage. Notice there's a pattern here. These are unavoidable. Going down these top tiers, it's going to start increasing your damage in that direction, or just overall weapon damage rather. So the only thing it does not impact are your skills. And then you have a choice: reduce kinetic skill cooldown by 50%, which again is those 3 icons right there, or increase your close range weapon damage by 50%. So again, maybe you're not picking kinetic skills. Keep in mind there are 8 skills that you unlock. You can only equip 3 at any given time. So maybe ignore kinetic. In that case, this is no brainer. Definitely get this 50% close range weapon damage. Either way, if this is counting as I'm assuming melee and like shotguns close range, this is just a great flat damage. Okay. Next, you got another additional 8% flat damage to weapons. And then you have an option of going up here and getting some weapon leech. Now, this is the first time you're seeing on this class weapon leech. Weapon leech is a core part of the technomancer, and basically it is exactly what it sounds like. 5% of all damage you do with weapons come back at health. So this gives you another way of getting health more reliably rather than killing something. So imagine you're fighting a boss or something, it's the only thing left, and it's got a ton of health, and you're not killing anything. Well, you're not healing anything either. That's rough. So having this as a backup might be a good way. You're going to want, in my opinion, some secondary way of healing. Either weapon leech, or skill leech, or, you know, I don't know if there's going to be specific weapons that added as well. And then if you go down this route further, you can get Bounty Hunter. This is actually pretty powerful. Increases damage against elites by 15%, and they deal 15% less damage to you. For 1 point, this is super powerful, especially since elites are the big baddies, and they're going to be the highest danger to you, actually. Alright, next. Reload your weapons 20% faster. It's mandatory, so you got to take it. Normally not a huge fan wasting points on reload speeds, but it is what it is. Okay, you can go down to this node, increase your magazine size by 50%. It's optional. Again, it's nice so you don't have to reload as often. My only concern here is points are so scarce. I want things that 100% are game changers, like these big nodes, or I want them to be significant damage increases. This is a damage increase, as in you're going to gain the DPS that you would normally lose when you're reloading, but sometimes you can strategically reload behind cover, etc., where you're just kind of avoiding other damage. So it's not quite as simple as, it's not going to give you 50% more damage. The amount of damage just increases, can be minute. Next, confrontation. Enemies damage you will have their physical damage reduced by 10% for 5 seconds. The effect is doubled if you damage an enemy as well. Again, I'm a little worried about this wording. I've looked at all the classes and they're talking about physical damage. Are they meaning melee damage? Are they talking about as opposed to elemental damage? Do certain damage, certain basic bullets are physical? Not the biggest fan of not really fully knowing what this applies to or not, but it's mandatory. It sounds like it's supposed to be pretty good because it's far into this chain. So this could be really good potentially if you're reducing the damage, physical damage by 20%, and that's a big portion of the damage. If they're, if you damaged them recently, this could be really good. Or worst case scenario, it could be a little more situational. All right, final choices in this skill tree. Increase weapon leech by 5% dried amount again, so you can get 10%. That might not be a bad idea. And or increase your armor piercing by 15%. For me, if I had to choose one and only one of these, I will 100% of the time take the weapon leech. Gotta survive. You're going to be tanky as it is. If it takes you a little longer to kill things, that's fine, but you don't want to die. And then the final skill tree here, or this point in here, is altered charge. So when kinetic skills end, increase your weapon damage by 70% for 10 seconds. That is great if you go down kinetic. And again, you have some buffs to cooldown reduction down here. Was it right here to kinetic skills? So obviously, if you're gonna go all the way down, might as well get this reduction. 70% damage boost is huge. In fact, it is the highest single weapon damage increase from one of these 10-second capstones from any of the classes. But again, that means you want to be able to spam these kinetic skills. Maybe even have all 3 of them be kinetic if you want to burst damage. That may not be min-maxy or very good. We'll see. But if you want to keep this up almost all the time, it is theoretically possible. All right, so that is Vanquisher. Now let's go ahead and go down Warden and then also look at the crossovers. So you start with Colossus, increase your health by 10%, and quite literally every single class in the middle starts with this. They have this continuation of increasing health. It's meant to be health tanky. Some of them will have more leech at the bottom and or top to kind of give you alternate ways of tanking. But this middle one is meant to be, if you go down it or dip into it, it's supposed to be a heavy survivability tree for all of them. And obviously it's going to be significant here because this is meant to be the tankiest class. So now you have an option of tank, increase your armor by 20%, or anomaly in veins, every second regenerates your health by 1%. So if you have a really high max health, this could be significant. This could be an alternative, like I said, in the top tree. Maybe you're relying on weapon leech. So this gives you maybe another way to heal. Or maybe you go up the top tree and you say, you know what, I'm going to dip 2 points into this. Get this extra health and get this percentage healing. It'll be good. Now again, this is going to get better and better the higher your max health is. So obviously going down this tree is going to help you. And also if you focus on gear that has maybe bonuses to max health, that'll get better and better as it scales up. All right, if you were to go the next, you're going to have to take Colossus again, 10 more points. Now you have a choice. You can go up. This is that bridge skill or skills. This one is Into the Fray. Increases your damage mitigation by 15% for 10 seconds after you use a kinetic skill ends after it ends node. So again, this is something you may dip down into if you're a Vanquisher. Or maybe you just want to look even more mitigation, which is obviously a big thing of the Warden tree. So you would go into it. You could go further up, reducing your kinetic skills by an additional 15%. Again, this one most definitely is something you'd probably go into if you're the Vanquisher and you want to get that capstone. So, you have that 15% here and that 15% here by dropping down. But if you go down to Into the Fray, you're really close to the Vim and Vigor. Increases weapon damage by 10% for each unlock Anomaly in Veins class node. So Anomaly in Veins, where's that one? Saw it. It's this one. That is the life regen. And again, you're going to be able to get it multiple times. So there is this big synergy between getting max health and then regenning it automatically on top of the killing. But here also you're going to get 10% extra damage. So right off the bat, if you're coming from this bottom area, this at tier 1 is 10% extra weapon damage. That's great. I mean, that's as good as a baseline, you know, better than one of these Havoc ones. And as you can kind of see in advance, there's going to be, it looks like a total of 3 can get of these, which means this could be worth 30% weapon damage. And that's passive. That for 1 point is totally worth it. Especially, and I mean, especially if you're going to use at least 1 kinetic ability. If you're going to use 0 of them, it's a little bit more of a sacrifice, but may still be worth it. All right, next, you have a choice. Resistance Paragon increases resistance by 20%, or Anomaly in the Veins. If you're going for this class, and especially going Warden, especially if you get Vim and Vigor, but even if you don't get Vim and Vigor, this seems like a really good node to get, especially if you get all 3 and you get 3% of your max health per second. If you're getting beat up, just go hide behind some corner, some cover, and you're gonna just be okay. Colossus, again, 10% more health. If you go up towards the bridge class, you get Heirloom Armor. When an enemy dies in your close range, 20% of the armor will be transferred to you for 10 seconds. This could be nuts. Higher difficulty, enemies will scale. They're gonna have more health. They're gonna do more damage. I'm assuming they may have more armor. You kill one of these baddies, take 20% of their armor for 10 seconds, and you could be nigh invincible for 10 seconds. So, assuming this also stacks, it doesn't say it can't stack. So if you kill multiple enemies, close range, your armor could keep going up higher and higher. That is the assumption. And Profit Squared, every ammo pickup heals you for 5%. This isn't bad. If you have the extra point to spare, this can't hurt. But again, that's sporadic. It relies on you killing something and then it dropping a health ammo pack, which is not guaranteed, and then assuming you need it then. So this could be a pass because, again, the limited points of 20. It's not bad, but again, in a game where there's only 20 points, I would probably pass this. All right, moving on. Again, that choice of an extra regen of 1% health, which I'm going to want to get, but you could also increase your armor by 20%, meaning you don't have to heal as much. This is a tricky one. They're both quite good. This could be a scenario where you have that extra point put into the extra 20% armor as opposed to that Profit Squared. In fact, I would every single time take this over this. Colossus, again, 10% more max health. And then Outrider Commander, increase all healing by 20% and shields by 20% for you and your allies. So, obviously good for co-op play. That Technomancer is the only other class that has this kind of increase all healing for allies. And assuming it stacks, you combine this class with the Technomancer and you're going to have just mass healing. Plus the Technomancer is an active skill that could heal. Example, this character. So if you're playing 2-player co-op and you want to stay tanky and durable, combo those two, good luck. You're going to have a hard time dying. So that's that. I could see that useful just about any time because it should also increase your regen, this 3% by an extra 20%. Next choice, extra health, or reduce protection skill cooldowns by 15%. Okay, so again, there's kinetic, there's seismic, and there's protection. Big surprise here, or not a surprise. Protection's gonna make you more durable. So you got that choice there. Again, both of these could be really, really useful potentially. Next, you get Resist the Mob, increases resistance by 15% for each enemy in close range. Again, you're being surrounded. Your resistances are going to get sky high. You're going to be super tanky, combined with high healing, etc. mitigation. You can become a quite literal tank. Now, Unbroken Vow, if you go up here, have a 100% chance to ignore damage that would kill you and gain 50% health. The effect may occur once every 180 seconds, so every 3 minutes. So this is a different wording of similar skills that the Technomancer and I believe and the Pyromancer have. The Pyromancer actually has an upgradable version that when they die, they can come back every 2 minutes and 15 seconds with 100% health. This one is similar to the technomancer, and the technomancer is actually part of an ultimate node. This you can get earlier. So again, if you're going down the street where you can get to it, there's no situation where I want to get this, because you could get, something could just rock your world, huge overhit, would normally kill you. This will bring you back. Once it's on cooldown, you just play a little bit more defensively until the cooldown is back, and then you can really go more risky as long as this is off cooldown. All right, then you have you have to take this if you're going down this line. 20% extra armor, can't complain. Overlord of the Battleground, gain additional 10% health for each enemy that died at close range. Now, it says gain additional this is increase your health. So I wish they were consistent wording. I'm assuming this means, oh, you know what? This is obviously referring to this. So this is every close range kill heals you for 24% of max health. I'm assuming that's now going to increase it to 34%. That would make sense. And then you have your final options here. Increase your resistance by 20%, or increase your armor by 20%. Okay, depending on build setup that you're going for. And again, I'm not sure the effective defense that this provides. By effective defense, I mean how much true mitigation is this going to cause as far as preventing input of damage versus 20% armor. I guarantee you they're probably not going to be identical. Maybe this is physical damage, maybe this is elemental damage, or I don't even know if this could be against status effects. I'm not 100% sure. But there's your choice for that. And then the ultimate node here is increases firepower by 10% of your armor, increases anomaly power by 10% of your armor. Again, I had this issue of the last class. They always talk about weapon damage, and then they throw in this firepower word. Again, I'm assuming this means weapon power, but I don't know why they're calling it different things. Anomaly power is skill damage. Simple as that. But because things are powered by the anomalies, it makes sense. So this is not a bad capstone. It scales with how good your gear is. Plus, obviously, if you're going for this capstone, grab every single armor buff here. There's one here, 20%. 40%, 60%, 80% just from those, and that is multiplicative whatever armor you're wearing. So if you get a nice set of legendary gear, get this capstone, this can add up. When you're lower level, well, you're not going to be low level when you get this, but you're not going to be you could potentially get this, quite a few levels before you hit max level. You don't have great gear, this is not going to play as big of a role as opposed to like this altered charge, 70% extra damage. So long term, awesome buff to DPS. Short term, not early game, not as impactful. All right, so that's Warden. Final one is Seismic Shifter. So we start with Anomaly Reservoir, increases your anomaly power by 6%. So similar to a lot of the themes we're seeing, this bottom tier tends to be much more about skill damage, just like the top one is more weapon damage. So there's that 6% there. You have a choice of reducing the cooldowns of seismic abilities by 15% or increase skill leech by 6%. As the name implies, this is anytime you do any skill damage, 6% of the damage comes back as health. So as I mentioned when I was talking about Vanquisher, you're going to want, in my opinion, a secondary way of getting health back. Don't just rely on this healing mechanism whenever you kill something. So you can go the health region based on your max health. You could, if you're going to top, go weapon leech. You can go skill leech, any combination of them. But I would definitely say pick one, if not two, depending what you're building. All right, next you're going to have another mandatory increase to your anomaly power. This is going to start adding up, 6% here. Now, if you go up to the bridge abilities, Unending Watch, this reduces protection skill cooldown by 15%. Now, this is good if you're going for a Warden, but again, you may very well use a Warden ability plus other abilities in this build. So this is not just for Wardens, but just do note, obviously you want to be using at least one protection skill if you're going to taking this, hopefully. Strong Arm of Anomaly. After using a class melee skill, increase resistance piercing by 15% for each hit enemy for 10 seconds. So again, a great way to get past resistances, especially against a bunch of mob of enemies, or let's say there's like a tough elite, got a bunch of scrubs around you, power punch them, swap over to the boss or the elite for 10 seconds, unload with your weapons or other abilities to really get through the resistances. And then of course, here's an additional 10% health. You may end up going down this route. When you're a Warden, again, if you're going to be going for that Anomaly in Veins build, where you heal based off your max health, well, this is an additional 10%. Alright, going back here, you can also choose to go down. Using protection skills increases anomaly power by 45% for 10 seconds. Again, another reason if you're going to use a defensive ability, this is a huge buff to your skills. So some people say, oh, I'm going to use nothing but, you know, really offensive, like all three of them be seismic skills. Okay, but you're really not optimized. So I would say most of the time getting this paladin ability would be great, because use your defensive protection ability, and then within the next 10 seconds, spam your 2 seismic abilities, and they're going to be buffed by 45%. Definitely makes a lot of sense to me. Alright, next. Choice of pure anomaly. Anomaly increases resistance piercing by 15%. Or you can reduce kinetic skill cooldown by 15%. Now this is, a lot of the kinetic builds tend to go from Vanquisher, way up here. So this is a weird situation, because if you're down here, you're not really going to get big buffs to your kinetic skills. So yes, if you have let's say you have 1 protection ability, 1 kinetic ability, and 1 seismic ability, maybe this is worth having. Or, you know, if by some way you said, okay, I'm going this build and I'm going to somehow, I don't even know, I haven't done the math on it, whether you can make it all the way down to dip into this for a Vanquisher build. But those are the situations where I would pick this. Otherwise, you know, maybe increasing your resistance piercing is better if you're not going to use any of these kinetic skills. Alright, moving on, you get another tier of Anomaly Reservoir, 6% extra power. No choice, you got to take it if you're going further to the right. Now if you go up to the bridging ability for the top skills, or if you want to dip in, you got Stone Circle, extends the distance considered to be close range by an additional 4 meters. This could be huge. Okay, there is like an invisible circle around you that counts for what is close range, medium range, and long range. This is especially if you hit something with like a shotgun, or, you know, something that you traditionally shoot close range and just a little further away. It can be the difference between counting as a melee hit or not. Now I'm assuming this is based off the actual range you hit something at, not the effective range of the weapon. If it's effective range of the weapon, then it's a little bit more confusing how this would be as impactful. I'm gonna guess it's based on how far away the target is when you hit them. So this could play a role when there's buffs to, let's say, increases all close range damage, as an example. Alright, and then if you go and get this node, you have the option of picking up through the mob. Increases your armor by 7% for each enemy in close range. Well, there you go. Right off the bat, this allows you, based off this, have more enemies fall into that close range category. So that could be the difference of 7, 14, maybe 21% extra armor. And this is something I could also see a Warden want to dip into. And they're all about having heavy armor if you go all the way down. So here you go. This can be significant for buffing not only their defense, but if you get this Mighty Tank Capstone and the Warden, their offense as well. But sticking with this area, it's again a little bit more situational, but could be useful. I'll probably more often than not use it for Warden, but we'll see. Alright, moving on. For options, Red Rivers increases bleed duration by 30%. Now the thing about these dots and durations, when doing lower level content, easier mobs, a lot of things are going to just die before you run out of the bleed. So this a lot of times may be useless, but if you're pushing high content, stuff is acting as bullet sponges and takes forever to kill, this could theoretically be okay. more often than not, I'd probably take Endless Tremors. Reduces Seismic skill cooldown by 15%. I'm going to take a wild guess. If you're going on Seismic Shifter tree, you're probably going to be having at least one Seismic ability, in which case I take this 10 out of 10 times to reduce that cooldown. Next, increases your anomaly power by an additional 6%. Again, it's starting to add up here, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4 mandatory ways if you go down this way. That's already 24% skill damage. And then you have the ability here of Strong Arm of the Law. Doubles the damage of class melee skills. So that is pretty big. Remember, your class melee skill AoE bleed effect that it applies. So this could be quite good. Of course, you could theoretically dip into this from the Warden skill as well. If you come down here, see, what is it? If you pick up this tier here, after using class melee skill, increase resistance piercing. You combine that and get down here. Potentially, if the math works out, this could be really good. Coming back up here for your two options, you can get Executioner, increases damage by 20% against enemies below 30% health. So this is kind of a classical Executioner node. Again, increase bleed duration by 30%. My belief, probably total junk in most cases. I'll take the Executioner any day if I have to pick one or the other. Increases your anomaly power by another 6%. And then you have the optional Bloodbath. Bleed afflicted on enemies deals 30% more damage. Now this is more what I like. I don't want more duration. I want to do more damage with the actual bleeds. So this could be good. More throughput. And if you go there, I like this. Blood donation. You are healed for 35% of your bleed damage. So yet another way to heal as a Warden. Remember, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video and the mid video, find a second way to heal. Don't rely only on kills. You can use your melee, spread that bleed, get on as many targets as you can. It's going to auto heal you. Maybe get the life regen. Maybe you go all out and try and get everything. Now, I think it's going to be statistically impossible to go heavy into, the percentage healing down your Warden tree and get to this. I think they're doing it on purpose, but again, it gives you more ways to heal. And as the tank, that's what you want. Now, moving on, of course, this is kind of nice. You get your second rejuvenation, increasing your skill leech by 6%. So that's helpful if you're keeping track. If you get both of these, that's 12% now. And then you have the option of protection by the anomaly. Increases your armor bonus by 40% of your anomaly power. So again, getting tougher the higher your skill power ability is. So nice synergy for protecting. All right, moving on. Second, the penultimate big node here. Skilled Sentry increases armor by 20% and resistance by 20% for 10 seconds when your skills end. Notice this, when skills end, so any of your skills. So it doesn't matter if you're protection, seismic, whatever. This is not bad. This is a nice 20% bonus. Make you more tanky, especially if you stack it with protection from the anomaly. You can be, it's still not going to be probably as tanky as Warden, but it's definitely no slouch. And that leads you to the final set of choices here. Pure Anomaly increases resistance piercing by 15%. It's okay. I would probably go for this Bloodbath, and then Bleed afflicted on enemies deals 30% more damage. Again, combine these two, 60% more damage. Have that 35% of that damage be health. That's great. At very high levels where stuff just seems to never die, then maybe combo it with Red Rivers, increasing the duration, and you can just get continual healing over time effects on you as you whittle down all those monsters. Okay, ultimate ability for Seismic Shifter, or node rather, is Earth's Heritage, increases seismic skill base damage by 50%. So simple, so effective though. Remember, you've been picking up all these mandated anomaly power buffs. With this, once you get this capstone, they are going to hit like Mack trucks. If you also picked up rejuvenations, 12% of all that damage is going to come back to you as health. So lots of ways to heal up when you're doing damage as well. So, guys, that's the Devastator. Hope you like this deep dive look at this class. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the area below. This is Leeroy from Leeroy Gaming, and I'll see you guys next time.